Hi, it's Paul Ryan, and Sound Threads is a weekly show that I convene on the topic of music. Each show will contain 3 totally separate elements. First, I'm going to cover the world of music itself. So, a show would typically cover some aspect of the world of music. Here we'll talk about everything from the history of music to 4 great advances in music which changed it forever. I'll talk about songwriting, the size of various genres, music as a business, and much, much more. Second, I'll play a song of mine and provide a bit of background on the how and why I wrote it. And finally, each show will include a segment which is a story. It's a fictional story about a musician named Freddie Spaghetti who goes from rags to riches with his music. Okay, on to the first segment, the world of music part of the show. And keep it right here for a song of mine and this week's episode of Freddie Spaghetti. Last week I spent some time looking at Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys and his song, God Only Knows. His combination of skills from songwriting to harmonies, musical complexities, and chords were truly unique. Today I'm going to zero in on one of those elements, songwriting. And when I thought about doing a show on the best pure songwriters, there are so many to choose from. Lightfoot, Dylan, Bernie Taupin, Neil Diamond, even Keith Richards. I decided to return closer, though, to my home genre, so to speak, and talk today a little bit about Dolly Parton. Dolly's career included performing, recording, television shows, and even movies, but it was her songwriting skills that really were extraordinary. She was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame for her songwriting in 2001. Her ability to blend country, folky kind of music and pop so seamlessly is truly amazing. She had 25 singles reach #1 on the Billboard charts, 11 Grammy Awards, and much more. Her song, I Will Always Love You, was actually written for a syndicated television show host and partner, Porter Wagner. It was a parting gift for when she left his show in 1974. The song came back in full force when Whitney Houston recorded it for the movie The Bodyguard. It was a movie soundtrack. Both the single and the album were massively successful. So, Dolly re-recorded I Will Always Love You with Vince Gill, and together they won a CMA Award for the Best Vocal, 1996, some 20 years after she originally wrote it. The song has been well covered in the media due to its enormous success, but it's only one of over 3,000 she wrote. 3,000 songs. Boy, I have trouble writing 1 or 2. 3,000 is a lot of lyrics and a lot of music. She also penned some of her own hits, as well as writing for others. Her own hits, Jolene, The Coat of Many Colors, of course, and in total 450 of those songs were recorded by other artists such as Merle Haggard, Hank Williams Jr., Kenny Rogers, many others. For such a prolific and skillful songwriter, though, how did she do it? Well, here's Dolly's own description. Quote, all those little pieces of your past, they're all really important. That's why I'm so thankful I can write songs. I can capture all those memories in my songs and keep those memories alive. End quote. Her father recalled she was writing songs before she knew how to hold a pencil. Dolly described her childhood fascination with rhyme and rhythm and the everyday sound she made into music. And again, I'll quote here directly from Dolly. Quote, since I've been able to form words, I've been able to rhyme them. I could catch on to anything that had a rhythm and make a song go with it. I'd take 2 notes in the darkness and make that the start of a song. I'd latch onto the rhythm my mother made snapping beans, and before I knew it, I'd be tapping on the pot with a spoon and singing. I don't know what the music sounded like to my family, but in my head, it was beautiful music. End quote. When pressed to choose her favorite song, Dolly always returns to The Coat of Many Colors. As a child, she lacked a suitable coat for the winter, so her mom sewed one out of scraps given to her by neighbors. To make the homemade garment special, she told Dolly the Bible story of Joseph and his coat of many colors. Dolly ran off to school, proud to show it off. But her classmates made fun of her, teasing her about a coat made up of rags. But why does Coat of Many Colors have such wide-ranging popularity, and why is it culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant? Well, the song is primarily from the perspective of a child, which simultaneously takes listeners back to their own memories, rouses empathy. And that a mother plays such a pivotal role in the song, both as the giver of a precious gift and also the source of a deep reservoir of love, heightens the poignancy of the story. Listeners can also place themselves in a scenario as a teased child or the loving parent. In conclusion, Parton draws upon her memories and creates stories which might be universal in terms of content or subject matter. Women jaded by a cheating guy can relate to Jolene. Or, if you lose someone, I will always love you. Empathy, empathy, empathy. Of course, it doesn't hurt to also be a master at wordcraft like Dolly.
I wonder what Paul's featured song is today on SoundThreads. Paul, what have you got for us?
As the very first day of the work week, Mondays sometimes get a bad rap. After listening to the song Manic Monday, I thought, why not write a song with all the good elements of Mondays? Yeah, it's the start of the work week, but Mondays also hold a lot of promise, some excitement, some mystery about what might be coming up in the days ahead. Been some talk, folks writing songs. Mondays, manic, don't belong. The other work days are somehow fine, easy on the daily grind. But I like Mondays, tell you why. Full of promise, where mysteries lie. Like Fridays too, don't get me wrong. But Mondays, that's where dreams belong. Make it Monday. Heading in right now to earn my pay. Monday's only day the boss is late. And Monday's when that new girl drops by and takes my breath away. Some will say they like the end, money earned, money spent. Not me, no sir, prefer the ride. No beginning in the journey slides. Make it Monday. Early in the morning, coffee's poured. Monday's when everything seems new again. And Monday's when water cooler told you so's for games the day before. There it is, I've said my piece. Brand new start, brand new week.
It's time now to take a look at what is going on in the musical life of Freddie Spaghetti.
Freddie's mom, Nancy Parton, is in her late 40s. Nancy is tall and thin, like her son, a natural brunette, which she sometimes lightens up. Nancy's life is all about being organized. Up each day sharp at 7 a.m. and off to work. Dinner's almost always served sharp at 6 p.m., and her specialty is pasta. Nancy has a sharp wit, and although she's normally serious, her smile is soft and one of those that melts people, draws people in. She and her husband Fred Sr. have raised Freddie and his sister Zoe, younger by 2 years. Nancy's idea was to name her son after his father Fred Sr. However, as early as junior high, Fred Jr. was known as Freddie, and after a prank in high school, the name Fred was washed away forevermore. He became Freddie. Nancy works at a healthcare clinic as a nurse. She's very, very good at her job, and sometimes other nurses ask her opinion in cases where some rare treatment was required for a patient. Nancy's put in 20 years at the clinic, and from time to time she's considered retirement, but with Fred Sr. still working, sees no point to it. Her children always come first. Then came knitting, playing bridge, and cooking. Fred Sr. is an avid sports fan and a scratch golfer. When Freddie was young, Fred Sr. would take him to the local club and teach him how to swing a driver and how to line up a putt. But it was evident very early on that Freddie had no interest in golf or any sports for that matter. Fred Sr. was disappointed but thought, that's okay. Freddie will find his calling. He'll be great at something else. Neither Nancy nor Fred Sr. have any interest at all in music, other than maybe listening in the car to the odd pop hit. And yet, both children did. At a very young age, Freddie began to ask for musical instruments for Christmas and birthdays, while Zoe wanted to be a singer. Her parents even signed her up for vocal training, but by the time she was 10, the rigid weekly lessons turned her off the idea, and Zoe turned her attention to sports. She's played basketball and track and field. Nancy attended all of Zoe's events and games, sitting quietly and proudly while her daughter won ribbons and medals. Later on, Zoe entered nursing school. She wanted to take care of patients just like her mom. As far as Nancy is concerned, the weekly telephone calls to her kids were very important. She looks forward to calling Freddie and talking about his music. That was Sundays. Then on Saturdays, Zoe receives her call to check in on how nursing is going. Thank you for listening to Sound Threads. Remember to come back right here next week for another edition of Sound Threads.